So when we get to session 6, the presence activation statement is, I neutralize my negative emotional charge. A negative emotional charge is just a phrase. It's not actually a negative emotional charge. It's just words we use to describe an experience. It's like Eckhart Tolle uses the pain body. It's just words about an energetic experience. And what the negative emotional charge is the energetic consequence of living in resistance, of living in inauthenticity, of not feeling what I'm really going through. In other words, everything I do not to feel my fear, anger, and grief will create resistance in my experience. Every time I say yes when I mean no and no when I mean yes creates resistance in my experience. And then, of course, all the reactive behaviors I've developed since childhood because I wasn't able to be spontaneous at a certain point, and so I created a behavior to mask that. And all the behaviors that I've created that get me attention from the outside world and prevent me from learning how to do that for myself, these are all inauthentic. And whenever we're being inauthentic, we're resisting our natural state of being, our authenticity. And all resistance creates heat. And this heat is like a charge that builds up in the emotional body and makes us feel really uncomfortable. And that's when we conceptualize it. We give it a name of grief, anger, and fear, and all sorts of other concepts we put around it. But really, it's just heat. So by allowing ourselves to be with those parts of our experience, by re-entering authenticity, by allowing ourselves to feel our fear, anger, and grief, we gradually start to decrease the charge. And a little bit later in the process, we'll talk about going into warm water to do so as part of the journey. Let's take a look at what we've done in the first few sessions, because what we've done is create a pathway of awareness into ourselves, from the physical to the mental and now into the emotional. Once we're working directly with our child self as a metaphor, you see, metaphor allows us to enter our emotional body in a way that thinking and understanding cannot. For example, if I say to you that if you want to know God, you need to go and sit under the tree out there and eat prunes all day for 6 days. You have to go and do that, and it's a messy business. If I say to you, if you want to know God, E is equal to MC squared. Just get that and you'll get God. Then you have to go and learn the science, understand the formula. You have to go and do something. But if I say to you, God is an ocean, and we are drops of that ocean, and we just have to allow ourselves to fall back in, then we don't have to do anything. That goes right into the emotional body. So if we want to speak to the emotional body, we use metaphor. That's why we call it the child. Because I can get myself to understand a relationship with a child, the innocence, and work with that. And that moves the emotional body. It moves the energy in there. So we looked at how we got upset. And when we got upset, we reacted. And we reacted by going into blame. And after the experience of blame, at some point we go into regret, shame, guilt over our behavior seemingly. And that's the pathway of awareness that was modeled to us, that our politicians use, that people all around us use, and that we have used addictively. And so what we're doing is we're looking at a new pathway of awareness. If we look at this from a point of increasing awareness, we get to realize that we weren't upset, we were set up. So every upset is actually a setup. And if we see that our behavior, that we reacted, it's an act that we just bring out every time that particular memory surfaces. And then the way we behave is we blame. So we be lame. Whenever we blame someone, we disempower ourselves. Whenever I say it's your fault, I'm feeling this way. How can it be your fault that I'm feeling this way when I'm responsible for my heart center? And on a deeper level, that's why we go into regret and shame, because on a very deep level, when I blame you for anything, I'm taking away my entire relationship with cause and effect. I'm completely disempowering myself as the creator of my own experience. I'm actually taking away all my power. So what we do is we chart a new pathway that goes from identifying the messenger to dismissing the messenger to feeling what's going on within us to compassion. And now an energy that was sent out into the world continually and that never accomplished anything. That's why the messenger just keeps coming back and back and back, because reaction accomplishes nothing. Now what we're doing is we're bringing that energy back into ourselves, bringing it to the causal point of our experience and being with it there. And if you be with your child self when it is going through fear or anger or grief, you will have an energetic experience. And often that energetic experience will feel like heat. You may feel heat build up in your body and then subside. It may also come out as tears, relief. Because behind all grief, when we allow the grief to be there, is relief. Well, what we've done is we've built an energetic pathway into our body by using this inner pathway whenever I'm getting upset. It's like a new pathway, so I've got to use it. But as I tread it regularly, I'm opening up a powerful pathway into my own emotional body, which allows me to enter there and start doing work in there, cleansing work. As we move through the emotional body, which is what we're doing from session 7, 8, and 9, we are going to make a movement through the emotional body. And just like this pathway of awareness that moves from physical to mental to emotional, the movement through the emotional body also follows that pathway of awareness. In other words, we are going to move from fear to anger to grief. And each of those frequencies we want to realign.